I think I'm going to have to go on it. And I can't wait to the Power Network conference. I just feel, Don, you have to get yourself there, girl.
Yes, I'll get there.
Because, wow, it is an experience that is undescribable until you go.
Right.
Because even when I told you about it, you did not imagine until you actually got there.
Right.
No.
And it is just...
When is the next one?
It starts. It's July. It's around the July holiday, so it's from the 5th to the 8th.
Where's it located?
In Baltimore.
This year? Baltimore.
Yeah, at the National Harbor Gaylord. And then it's like. So like they were doing their studying is really what was happening at the conference. You're up at 6. So yeah, because if you're there for exercise, they have an exercise. They actually have a young lady that does a workout thing in the morning, and then you go get dressed, and then you have your classes, and you're in classes all day. I mean, just powerful people from all over the world, from literally all over the world, because they've had people from Nigeria and Zimbabwe and everywhere. And you're networking, and here are black people that think like you, and really are embracing working and being together, and it is amazing. It's just an amazing experience. And next year, maybe all the Bellas, we can all go. I talked to Alicia about that last year, but that didn't come. But I'm already
next
registered.
year. Yeah, I'm ready. We're going this year.
Well,
and that's how we heard about the Egypt trip.
Exactly.
Well, I'm going. If y'all going, I'm going.
You going? Okay. It is awesome.
Yeah, that's how we heard about the Egypt trip.
Okay.
Was through the Power Network. We hadn't even thought about Egypt. Africa was not, I was going to go to Ghana because our next door neighbors they live here 6 months and live there 6 months.
Okay.
But I just never got there. Kept putting it off. And then we went to Egypt and we heard Tony Browder speak. And we went, and Erin said, we should go. It was actually Erin's idea.
Because he took us on a tour. He took us on a tour of Washington, D.C. We went on that 3-hour tour of Washington, D.C., Egypt on the Potomac. And all of the African Egyptian symbolism throughout all of Washington, D.C., hidden in plain sight. We're looking at it, but we don't know. We don't understand, So once we went on that trip, and the Africa trip was introduced a little bit later, and we knew that he was going to be there, and of course Dr. Frazier was going to be there. We were all in.
Yeah.
I think last year at the Power Network, Anthony brought it the first year I went, and I don't remember if they did it this year. I don't think they did, but they actually did a timeline. After they came with the drums, because they opened it up with the beating of the drums.
Right, I heard that.
Right, and then they have their colors because they've done their ancestry, so they know what villages they come from. So they have their scarves and their colors, and they walk in through the secession. And when you got there, Anthony did a timeline of Egypt to all of us way through slavery, everything of our place in time. And it was really powerful. And I don't remember them doing that last year.
I think they did
that. Did they do that?
Year. Yeah,
Okay.
Because that was my first time seeing it. I was very impressed.
Yeah, very. That was the first thing that started it. Right, first time it's like, oh my God! So you hear the beating of the drums, and you feel like you're calling of your people, your ancestors. It's very ceremonial. So that just resonated with me. So Egypt was a very civilized place. Just brilliance. We were brilliant, and we still are brilliant. We just don't understand the power of our brilliance. So did you guys embrace that, and how did that fit with what you're doing now? The Lisa Initiative, the working toward financial wellness in our communities, and what you're doing, what your path is for why you sell life insurance and why you're so passionate about it.
First, I want to tell you I got an African name.
Okay. All right. You got your African name. What's your African name?
It's called it's Afua.
Afua.
Yeah,
and that means
you are known to be a person full of growth, creativity, ingenuity. Right. You are always anticipating what can be done, and it's great. It's just a little bit about the name, and I thought that was great.
Okay.
But yeah, when I went to the Power Networking, I've been in the insurance business for 35 plus years, and I've always felt the power of insurance to transfer wealth. When I went to the Power Network and their focus is on generational wealth, it just kind of a light bulb came on that my mission, my purpose for the next years of my life is to really, really concentrate on promoting generational wealth and financial legacy. And it's really important. And when we went there is a lot of poverty there because I don't think that they're not being taught. I mean, we had an experience where we actually lifted a person up with our fingers at one of the sessions, and Tony said he had this guy come and sit down, and he said, "How much do you weigh?" And he says, "I weigh about 240 pounds." Well, he actually weighed about 270 pounds, right there.
He was a former Marine, so he was very solid. Okay. He was very solid. Yeah.
He was solid. Yeah. That's the word. And so so then they said, okay, we need some volunteers to come up. And we just kind of sat there, and he says, well, what about the Mackeys? You know? And so Erin was the baby of the group. She was the youngest. So we went, and he says, okay, we want you guys to put your hands like this, fold them like you're praying, and then like you're gonna, like a gun. And we're gonna lift him up. So he says, okay, let's go. Erin was under his armpit. I was under his thigh, and Jim was under his thigh, and he was under the other armpit. So he said, let's lift him up. So we try to lift him up, and of course you cannot lift up a 270-pound man.
Right.
With 2 fingers.
With 2 fingers.
Right.
With 2 fingers.
But before you go on, let me just say that my mindset at the time when he gave us this exercise to do, I was thinking in my head, I'm going to lift with my legs. I'm not going to lift with my back.
You were doing a Dawn thing, because that's what Dawn would have done.
Yeah, use my glutes and my quads. Right?
Okay. Go
yeah, right. Okay.
So that was going to work.
So that didn't work with the fingers. So then he told us, he said, okay, I'm going to instruct you. I want you to imagine lifting him up. I want you to give yourself a commandment. Give your mind a commandment to lift him up. And so he had us close our eyes, and he said, can you imagine lifting him up? And then he went to all of us, and Erin said, yeah, I can imagine. And I'm looking inside my spirit, and I'm actually lifting him up in my mind. And then Jim responded the same way. And so then he said, okay, let's try this again. And so we had our 2 fingers, and we put it the same spot. Oh, before we did that, we put our hand on top of his head, kind of going left, right, left, right. So what we were doing was creating that energy, synchronizing our energy with his energy. And so then he said, okay, let's do it. And we actually lifted him up with our 2 fingers, and he felt like a feather. I mean, lift up. Jim said he lifted up so high we could see his eyes.
Wow.
We actually did that. And it was such a powerful, amazing experience to be able, because you see that and you go. People were coming up to us afterwards saying, "Did you guys practice that?" Everybody thought it was some kind of trick. So afterwards, Tony described what we did. He said, what you did, you gave your mind a directive. You gave your mind a commandment, and your body responds to the instruction that is given from your mind.
Exactly.
And wow. Yeah, it was really heavy. And he said, so when you work in concert with that, we're lifting him up, and the energy flowed through our bodies, through our hands and his body. So we were working together. So now you're able to do something what appears to be impossible. Right. And then he explained that's probably what happened with the pyramids. You know, they were building with technology that no one can even understand. Right. But see, our ancestors knew something that we didn't know about the mind, the body, and the mind, the body, and the soul, and the imagination. Right. And so that was really strong. Either we forgot it or we were never taught about it. And so the consequences he talked about was that we're functioning at a dysfunctional level right now. We are comfortable with that. We're comfortable with not having our full control, our full power, our full potential. And so that was really incredible. So to answer your question, when I came back, I'm on more of a mission of the generational wealth. I know I'm partnering with Frazier on creating $1 million babies minority babies, black babies, to transfer $1 trillion into the black community, into our community, $1 trillion. And so we have been doing that. And I tell you, every week we're getting 4 and 5 mothers are coming to our office, and they're buying into the vision. We're creating these $1 million babies. We're creating financial legacies. We're showing people how to use insurance, generational wealth, to create that. So yeah, we came back a lot more powerful, a lot more knowing how to really use our mind, and so it's a beautiful thing.
Wow. And I think that's so important, because in some aspect that's like what when we talk about how you've committed to your health and committing to other people's health, because somewhere there was an insight. You had an insight with your own health, right?
Yes.
So you're not doing it just out of the fact it's just a gig.
No.
It's a passion, and it has a real center in your heart, right? You guys now, you already had it, right? So now you went and you connected with the power of and I think that was the power behind the Black Panthers.
Yeah.
When you walked out, because for me, there was that scene where they were in the tribal waters and they were doing the challenge, and they were like, boom, 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 and they were, and you kept looking up, and it was like miles and miles and miles of just beautiful Black people in unity together. And for me, doing what I do, and I really am a civic activist, because I see us coming together to work together to change how we live. And then when I interact with other people that are giving me excuses why we can't, or say, oh, no, we don't work together, that does anger me, because I know just from the people that I surround myself with, that's not true.
That's not true.
We all uplift each other. We all support each other. And then when I break it down to, when you tell me that, then I have to kind of go with, well, let me think. When you were in school, you had your friends, and you were all part of a core, right? Then when you go to church, you're very united in working for whatever y'all are working for, right? And then if you were part of a sorority or a fraternity, you're working together. In any organization, you're working together. So that is not true.
And if you feel like that is true, let it start with you. Let it start with you. Seek out someone that you can partner with and advocate for.
Right, exactly. And find out why you feel the information that we get from others that are trying to dictate what our lives should be, why you're allowing them to misshape and take your brain and not use the power that you have.
That's right. That's right. Because one of the experiences that I brought back was just to see even what Erin and I and Jim did, what human beings can actually accomplish and do when they really know themselves, and how to manifest that creative spirit that's really in us. Because that's how our ancestors, that's how they were able to overcome. Can you imagine having to go through what they went through? So we're on a mission, and we are excited about it. Because the thing about the life insurance is you're going to die. Everybody's going to die. So why not pick a best friend, or if you don't have children, someone that you can leave a legacy through the power of insurance, pennies on the dollar. And so that's what we're advocating. That's what we're preaching. And for the first time, either I'm saying, I'm talking about it better more, or I'm describing it better. I don't know. Maybe it's me. But the first time, people are really buying into it. I said, I've never protected more families than I've ever done recently than I've ever done. You know, I'm going to say I've never sold more insurance than I've ever did in my life. But really, people are buying it. They are buying into the vision now, and I'm really excited.
They hear a new passion from you.
Maybe they feel it. I know.
Absolutely.
And you know, the way we accomplished wealth after slavery was that. There were mutual benefit groups, and some of them sold insurance and life insurance policy. In fact, there's the first billionaire, I think his name was A.G. Gaston. A.G. Gaston. And what he did was he sold, he literally was the first Black billionaire. Okay. And we're talking back in the 1800s. And what he did was he sold life insurance, but he also tied it to a plot. Because so that family would be buried in the same place, and that's how he became wealthy. And then from there he created a mutual insurance company, and then from there he was an activist. He actually supported Martin Luther King financially, and so he used his wealth in order to make a better place for us. He was out of Alabama, and there's a book called A.G. Gaston, and it's a powerful book. So when you read about that, you read about Wall Street and other organizations and other people that rose above that. But right now I'm reading a book called what is it called? It's called Collaboration or something of that nature. But it's about how we started. And this young woman wrote a op-ed in the Washington Post, and from there this book that took her 21 years, and talk about research. I mean, she takes you back to, so one of the most profound things that I learned was that one of the reasons, a couple of years ago, in fact I think it was a conversation when I first started the show, and Felicia was saying that she had an interview with someone and they were talking about why we don't support each other, right? And so I was like, and then the other question was, why do white people hate us so much? I mean, because it didn't make any sense. And like when you really think about it today, we're not brand new.
Right.
There is, if you're white today in America, there is no way that you have not had some encounter with some black people somewhere,
right,
unless you live in Wyoming,
right,
where there is none of us there.
Right, exactly.
Right? But you have had some encounter. Yeah. And if you've had encounter, even if it's on television, you appropriate our culture. You love everything about our culture. Yes. But what happens with us? So my inquisitive mind says, let's go research that, Crystal. Okay. And so that's how I came across this book. It's called Collective Courage is what it's called. Collective Courage. And it's by Jessica Nimhard. And when I went back, so one of the things she said, after we were emancipated and became free, white America lost $25 million. Now that's then. That's money, $25 million go back in 1800s. And that's the problem. It's not us as the color. It's the fact that we were their free labor. And they lost their free labor.
I believe it.
And
that makes sense.
And then they had to go work. And they had to figure out how to continue on with their labor.
I just don't understand how they think it was okay to make us their free labor. That part just...
They just created that, and there was just,